Hi, Quilt Roadies. Thank you for stopping by. It is countdown for primitive gatherings. So far, I leave day after tomorrow, and so far, my flight is still on schedule. Although because of the distance we're traveling, it's my friend Janine who owns Acorns and Threads is the proprietress. She and I are going, and we're being picked up by Teresa Kogut. I have to get to the airport by like 3:30 in the morning. When I told G that, he was like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, with all the craziness, usually at that time of the morning, I wouldn't get there so early, but given all that's in the news, I want to get there a couple hours ahead of time, and my flight takes off at 6, so, and it's 2 legs, I have to transfer in Minneapolis. So I'm very excited. I am very excited. I still am struggling with what to take and what not to take. What do I want to stitch on? What do I do? All of those. Just I do not want to have any non-stitching time. I want to be able to. So I'm definitely taking my dragonfly, and I think I might take an embroidery project. But well, welcome anyway to the Quilt Roadies show. It is that my channel is about everything in a sewing room. Quilting, embroidery, any kind of needle art that I like to do, that it happens here. I easily can be off on a tangent. So this week I have tackled another binding, and the way I get myself to do binding, because as you know from that quilt rack, quilts that need binding have been on there for months and months. But once I start a binding, I use those little red clips, these little red clips, and I usually use about 5. And so each day when I first sit down here in the beehive, I stitch all the way to the end of those 5, and then I move it, and then I put it on the chair over there, and then the next day I'm going to do it again. And so that way I don't feel like, oh, I have binding to do. I don't want to do binding. Yeah, I mean, I understand there are some people that truly love to do binding. I like it when it's done. I like it when it's done. So I decided that this quilt needed to get done. It's that beautiful. I can't show you the whole thing, but it's that beautiful Christmas tree quilt. And so here's my thought process. I was gonna face it until my pocket robin was here. And she saw it, and she said, "You're not going to put a binding on that? What do you mean? Well, you need something." So I laid it on the floor because that's my design wall. And G happened to walk by the door, and I said, hey, you, come in here. What color do you think I should make this binding? And surprisingly, it's red and green and all that. Surprisingly, he said white. And so I pulled out some white fabric and laid it there. And he then said, I don't know about that. So then I realized that I still had some fabric left that is what I used on the back. And it was white, but just with a little bit of gold star. And I like the way it does not overpower the quilt or make your eye kind of go to the edge, but it gives it something. So you have to do what appeals to you. I know that the quilt, if you remember a few episodes back, I was doing the sailboat quilt. I am going to face that quilt because the sky, I want it to float. I just want the sky to float. And that is the quilt that I am going to put into the Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show. All anyone could put a quilt. It is a non-judged. You get a participation ribbon. People send quilts from all over the world to be in that show. But there is a special tent in the Village Green, which is the park in the center of the town of Sisters. And if you have never been to Sisters, Oregon, it is a charming, charming town. It is built with a Western theme, and they are a town that hosts one of the Big Ten rodeos from around the country that is held in Sisters, Oregon, and it has the largest outdoor quilt show every summer on the second Saturday in July. And so the teachers, and I'll be teaching at Quilters Affair, which is the week before, and they have a tent set up in the Village Green, which is the park in the center of town. And I've decided that is the quilt that I am going to enter as my entry, because I just love that I did the hexies on it. I mean, it's not a complicated quilt, but I just love the way it turned out. So that's the quilt. So I have to, once this binding is done, a little bit of rambling here, once this binding is done, I am going to face that one next. So there'll be no pressure. It'll be done. I will be taking it down with me. So day after tomorrow, in the middle of the night, I'm going to be flying to Minneapolis first, and then Minneapolis to Appleton. And I was sitting in front of my sewing machine thinking I would like to have just a little handful of gifts. In the cross-stitch world, when you tend to go somewhere stitching with people, sometimes you make little table gifts, not for everybody, just something little. And I said, I have all the things cut out for the coaster. And you know, if you're new, a few episodes back, there is a coaster tutorial. So I sat down. I sat down to make these coasters to take with me. And I was trying to chant wrong sides together, right sides together, raw edge on the outside. And I finally thought, I know I'm going to sew the first one wrong if I don't just get it in my head. So I went back and watched my own video. I am in my 70s now, so the fact that I can't quite remember it, yeah. So I made a stack of 8 of them, and they turned out so cute. I just love these as a gift. And you need to really, I mean, if you're thinking that you want to have little gift for an exchange or for family members, a set of 4 of these with a beautiful Christmas ribbon tied around with, Christmas fabric. Wouldn't that be fabulous? So I'm all ready. I made my little stack of coasters this week. It's been kind of trying to decide what I want to do next. I did get on to Fat Quarter Shop and ordered some fabric. I saw a new line of fabric. Of course, off the top of my head, I can't remember what it was, but it was adorable. And I will show it in the next episode because it'll come probably while I'm gone. The beehive is looking kind of picked up a little bit. I think it's because I have been working on these little piles of things that have been laying around, and so it's kind of cleared things off. I do want to go through, I'm really looking forward to shopping at Primitive Gatherings. It really was a bucket list. I will be heartbroken if Delta cancels my flight. But I check every day, and Janine checks, and we ordered our meal. Yeah, so it's keeping my fingers crossed. And you keep your fingers crossed for me too, okay? Yeah, this is going to be a great winter for quilting. I can feel it. Something flipped in my brain. I know I told G just this last week that he's kind of a self-contained, quiet, strong individual, and I am somewhat the complete opposite. And so I apologized to him the other day because I said, you married someone who has to process her anxiety by talking about it. So I am talking about it to him. And the whole idea of trying to figure out your aging life and what you want to enjoy and what you want to make, all of a sudden this last couple weeks, I have been like turning over a new leaf because I am enjoying all the fabric I have. I am enjoying all the kits, the processes, the works in progress that I have, because in my heart, I get to give them away when they're done. And that really makes, I don't know, it makes me feel good. And because I started realizing that it doesn't matter, this stuff I've accumulated, I probably have $3 a yard fabric in there. But everything that I've accumulated, I cannot conceivably hang in my own house, or how many, I'm the princess and the pea with every quilt? No. But there's a real joy when you give a quilt to somebody who loves it and didn't expect it. It's a gift to yourself. It is a gift to yourself. And I am loving this new quilting lease on life that I have, because what I love is the process. And I used to wonder years ago about the quilters that we used to call toppers. Do you remember those? They just like to make the top. They had piles of tops. But I get it now. There's a joy in the process. So whatever that joy is, you own it. You own it. And it has lit me on fire in here. Let me just say, it has lit me on fire. So I got a frog in my throat. Gosh, outside is so gorgeous. Today was such a gorgeous day. We went for a walk. It was so beautiful. And the trees, oh, the autumn colors are absolutely stunning here in Portland, Oregon. It's it's breathtaking. It's truly breathtaking. So earlier this afternoon, I said to G, let's go for a walk. Let's go for a walk because it's sunny outside and we got to take advantage because it's been, I trimmed my tomato plant, my tomato plant that looks like the little shop of horrors. I trimmed it back. Leaves, everybody is picking up leaves. We have giant amount of leaves, but yeah, took advantage of the sunshine today. Okay, so I wanted to get to the questions and comments in the last video. And Kathy Walker from Scotland, thank you for watching, Kathy, wanted to know how to press seams on a block and if I would do a tutorial about that. I will show the next time I am sewing quilt blocks, I will show how I press them. But let me just say, I tend to either press the seam open and then I pin my blocks together so they line up perfectly, or if they nest, I press one block one way and one block the other way so that when I put them together, they nest together, if that makes any sense to you. But I will show that in a future video. Helen, along with a few others, asked about my tattoo. My tattoo. Yes, I got a tattoo. But here's the thing. I realized after, it's still healing, so I'm not going to show, and it has to be touched up a little bit. But it is a bee. I had a picture of a bee with some flowers. And, yeah, you can't really see it that well, but yeah, I got it right there. So my oldest son was, he's been an artist his whole life. But he spent the last 20 years as an EMT, then a fireman EMT. Then he went back to school and became a paramedic. And now he's in tattoo school. I know. And he's always had tattoos. You know, those firemen and paramedics and police officers, they all have tattoos. There's something about that grounds them, that so many of them have tattoos. But I decided, since he was in tattoo school, that I was going to get my first tattoo. And I absolutely love it. Now, I'll tell you a funny story, because I sent him a picture because G gave me a birthday card this year that I absolutely loved the picture. And I said, can you do an adaptation of that picture? And it was a crescent moon with a hummingbird and then some flowers down below. And I said, I would like that as a tattoo, but I'd like the crescent moon to be in the shape of a G. And my smart aleck son told me, Mom, I don't recommend you tattooing your boyfriend's name or initial on your body because you might not stay together. Yep, that's my child. That's my child. So I suspect I will get another one somewhere down the line. But the thing I realized when I saw the photographs of the tattoos he's done, they are so beautiful. And I looked at my tattoo, which is very pretty, but I realized I have old lady skin. There isn't a lineup of people in their 70s getting tattoos. And if I could take some fat from somewhere else on my body and put it on my arm, it might look nicer, that I have old lady skin, and I have to accept the fact, but I am so tickled with it, and it just, yeah. And my son did it. Yeah. Okay. DKZ asked about the hanging lady that was behind me when I was sitting on the other side of my sewing table and the camera was facing the other way. So I thought I would show them to you. I have 3 hanging ladies that are hanging off of the side of my quilt rack. And I bought these from an artist in Moss Landing, California, and they're made out of paper mache. I fell in love with them, and so I started collecting them, and I got 3 of them. So here's one. They're all like hanging. I wonder if let's see, what can I do? If I do this, oh, that'd show better. So she's with an umbrella. This one is with a kite. And it's all paper mache with fabric. And this one, which is one of my favorites, actually has real feathers. Isn't that beautiful? I know it's a little blurry, but I just love my hanging ladies. So I got them, but I don't know who the artist is. It was years, decades ago. Yeah. Okay. Maureen asked if there was a pattern for the table runner I showed last time. No. I just sewed rectangles, squares, all together until I had about a table runner size, and then I just cut the edge all off, and it was done. It was total scraps, leftover scraps from a quilt. So they kind of all went together, but really, you could just cut up a bunch of squares and rectangles and sew them together until you get the size you want. Yeah, no batter. But it was fun. It was freeing to do something like that. Marie asked about fusing with soft fuse. Now soft fuse is no longer being made, but I still have a roll of it, and there are other products out there that people have recommended, so they must be as good as soft fuse. And I heard some rumor that some company was bringing soft fuse back, but under their label, so we shall see. The thing about it is, I don't follow the rules. And so soft fuse says don't use steam. I steam it. All these years I have steamed it, and I steam it from the front and I steam it from the back, and it literally never comes off. I have projects that are probably 5 years old that the pieces are still on there. And I don't have any problem needling through the soft fuse and the wool. So, yeah, just give it a good steam. Okay. Amy asked, how did I become comfortable in front of a camera? Well, I think part of it is that I'm a talker. I spent first grade with tape on my mouth by the teacher, so I could literally talk to a brick wall. Um, and I think part of it is that I don't have any format, so it's more relaxing to talk to you. I don't have an agenda or a chapter or verse. It's just comes off as it comes in my brain. So it to me it just feels more comfortable. There's all kinds of tricks that people use, but I think it's just going with the flow and not worrying about. Very seldom have I re-recorded something, and it's usually because I've forgotten something. I try to take notes, but I'm not, even not good at that. It's a fly by the seat of your pants. So for those viewers who like more structure, I'm not their cup of tea, and I'm okay with that. And that's what makes it easy for me to talk, is that I know the only people that are going to show up here are going to totally be okay with me jibber jabbering. And yeah, so I don't think there was any particular, I didn't take any training or anything like that, but yeah, it's so funny because this last weekend my middle grandson had a piano recital. Oh, it was absolutely adorable. He was absolutely adorable. And he's 8 years old. And I asked, so the family was all there, the extended family was all there. And one of the family members said, I asked G, I said, when was my piano recital? And she said, how would he know? And I said, oh, because I decided to take piano lessons when I was in my late 40s, because my younger son was taking piano lessons, and I suddenly had this urge to feel, to get a sense of what it feels like to play a grand piano on stage. I often wondered how did those people do it, and how does it feel? And so I asked my son's piano teacher if I could learn one song on the piano. And when she gave recitals, they were on stage at a college with a grand piano. And so I practiced the theme to the movie Ice Castles. It was like 4 or 5 pages long. And so on the day of the recital, I'm sitting down there with my pretty dress with all the little kids. And when it was my turn, I went on stage and everybody clapped, and I flounced my dress and sat on the bench and I played the song. And I thought to myself, oh, this is what it feels like. Okay, that's enough. But it was so great seeing him. It was so great. I wish I had kept, when I was a kid, I was in piano lessons only for a very short while. And I think my parents just gave up because they thought it was more effort on their part to get me to practice. But I wish I had kept it up, because I am so tempted to buy myself a piano. Yeah. Okay, going on to the next thing. Courtney asked, have I ever hand quilted? I think I might have hand quilted once, and that was enough. I do a lot of hand stitching, but And I do have a hoop that's for hand quilting, but I just never got into it. I do love sashiko, which is similar, but no, not a full quilt. I've never done that. And then Angela asked, and you might, I hope you guys go back and look through the comments because there are some suggestions. Like there's a book suggestion. I'm kind of disappointed that my library doesn't have the book, but there's so many great suggestions from people that leave them in the comments. And Angela was asking, she has great lovely Christmas fabric. It's older, I think, and it's stiff. And she wanted to know if she could use it with the newer cotton fabrics. And it made me think, my thought process is that maybe that's like more like a upholstery type, or I'm not familiar with the kind of fabric, but I would think it would wear differently. I would tend to pick a project that you could use that all together. I'm not sure, but maybe you have had experiences with that, and you could go down in the comments and leave a comment to Angela on your thoughts on using two different kind of textures of fabrics in the same project. That would be helpful for her. So I was thinking this last week. I got a tattoo. I got a tattoo. I know. I can't believe it. But I know I've told this story before, but it may have been a while, and maybe some of you have not heard it and it's new. But years ago, like in my 40s, I went through a major transition in my 40s. I read a book called Chicken Soup for the Soul, and it had several authors in the book, and one of the stories was not a story, it was a list. And it was an elderly gentleman who said he made a life list. Now, he wrote this life list when he was in his teens, which to me was like, wow, to have the presence of mind and commitment to make a list of things you wanted to accomplish in your life was amazing. And he had accomplished all of them except for one. And he was in his 80s when the book came out. And he said he still had high hopes of playing Tarzan in a movie. I mean, I just love that story. I just love that story. But the things he had accomplished. So I sat down and made my life list. Now, granted, I was in my 40s, and it is not an easy thing to do. So I challenge some of you, whoever wants to make a life list. It's not like you're just going to write willy-nilly. No, you really have to think about, what have I always wanted to do? Or where have I always wanted to go? Or what have I always wanted to learn? And you make your list. Now, when I was in my 40s, I sat down and made that list. It's still hanging downstairs in my pantry. It used to hang on my fridge, and my kids would see me cross off an accomplishment when I finished it. And I think I have to think that they might have been a little bit influenced by that list, by my commitment to that list. And so it's ragged, it's like, yeah. Um, I mean, I ran on the Great Wall of China. I run up the Eiffel Tower. I mean, I put some pretty weird things on there, but what made me think about that life list immediately is that the week that I made it, one of the things I put on there was I wanted to perform in a play on stage. I wanted to see what that felt like to be part of the stage performance. And the next week, the absolute next week, there was an advertisement in the newspaper where a Grammy Award winning composer from Los Angeles was writing a new play, and it was a musical, and he wanted everyday people to be in it, not movie stars or professional singers, but everyday people. And then the casting call was set. And so I went because I thought, wow, that's so weird that I just wrote that, and now this opportunity presents itself. And I went and I got to be in this play. It had 8 performances. My whole family came, and it was pivotal because it was initially when I first made that list, and it made me realize that intention makes reality. And I want to keep capturing that. So now I'm thinking about, what do I want to do with this in this stage of my life? What do I want to create? What do I want to leave? Who is going to get my quilts? Which individuals in my life? You know, I just am, there's so much to ponder, and it's so exciting. I got a tattoo. I got a tattoo. I mean, really. So I suggest maybe one wants to make a life list. Maybe it only has 10 things on it, but there's something that happens with intention when you write it down. And so that's my gift to you this episode, because we only have this time, and I want to enjoy every moment of it, and I want you to enjoy it with me. So that's it for me. You all take care. Keep me in your thoughts as I fly to primitive gatherings, and then next time it'll be a haul episode, I'm sure. Hopefully I'll be an adult when I'm there, but I can't promise anything. Okay, well, take care, and you know I love you guys.